Let the truth talk to 'em. Let the truth talk to 'em. Let the truth talk to 'em. Talk. Let the truth talk to 'em. Let the truth talk to 'em. Let the truth talk to 'em. Talk. Let the truth talk to 'em. Let the truth talk to 'em. Let the truth talk to 'em. Talk. Let the truth talk to 'em. Let the truth talk to 'em. Let the truth talk to 'em. Talk. You just gotta listen.
Yo, what's up to all our truth seekers out there all over the world? Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast, Truth Talks. I am your host, Krayzie Bone.
What's happening? I'm the co-host, Keith Griffin.
And I know we've been away from our listeners for quite some time now, man, but we are happy to inform all of y'all that we are officially back up and running, fully functioning on all truth cylinders, man. It's
100%.
Bro, we back.
We back, G.
We back. And y'all already know every time you click that play button to check out one of our episodes, it's going to be a good one.
Oh, yeah.
We never fail. So with that being said, welcome back once again.
Oh, yeah, man.
You know we got some good conversation for you, and we're going to fall right into it. Now,
let's go.
We've been gone for a long time. We've been gone for a very long time. Well, I ain't going to say a very long time, but we've been gone
since
a while,
what? Though, G.
Since the end of 2020 is when I think we done our last episode.
Yeah, somewhere around
We
there.
was doing them on Zoom, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, we back. The world has opened up just a little bit, trying to get back to a little normal.
A little bit.
But the world has been acting a fool out here, man.
Yeah.
They've been wilding. We've been itching to get back here and get back to the people. I've been getting DMs and messages from all the listeners. Thank y'all, man. We love y'all.
Word.
Thank you. Make sure y'all stay tuned in. Y'all can catch us on YouTube. Y'all can catch us on
Spotify,
Apple
TV, all that, everything. Wherever
man.
you catch us, wherever you catch your podcast at,
Wherever you get your podcast, check us out on there. But like I said, as we've all been witnessing a lot of things transpire over the last few years, and the scene of the world has definitely changed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And we can all see that this world is filled with so much turmoil and so many uncertainties about the future, bro, that many people have started to take notice that something is definitely happening.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's something strange in the atmosphere, and people are starting to question what is happening to human beings, period.
It's definitely a shift, you know what I'm saying, Craig? Definitely a shift, G.
Human beings, period, bro. Political leaders have been trying to find the solutions to peace and security ever since mankind started ruling over man. But as we can see time and time again, they have failed miserably. In fact, if you think about it, bro, these people that's in charge, the government, and they make it worse. They make more wars and separation than anything.
Yeah.
They didn't even know how to roll out the whole vaccine situation. But we'll talk about that later on, you know what I'm saying? So This is why today I want to speak about the topic that has been a very controversial one. Well, at least for me, and that's the issue of voting. Voting, and I'm quite sure we're going to catch a lot of, backlash from a whole bunch of people that love their country and, because of some of the things we're going to say. But, since we've been doing this show, we've always
been like that.
Came with the real. We cannot deny the truth. The truth hurts sometimes.
Yeah.
But the truth must be told, and the truth talks.
Word.
You know what I'm saying? And so that will never deter us from speaking the truth ever on this show. So if you're offended or get offended, there's a such button as stop or click, whatever them buttons.
All that.
You can cut it. You know what I'm saying?
All that.
You need to cut it. But I want to just start off by saying this, that I have never voted in my life, and I never will. And it's funny. Have you ever voted?
I voted one time,
one time.
I went down there when President Obama was becoming president. You know what I'm saying? So I went down there and
they got him.
I went down there, and the coldest part is, like I said, I felt like I was racist because that was for that day, because I only voted for the man because he was a black dude. I ain't know none of the policies or none of that kind of thing, or none of that, just because he's a black dude and finna be from the outhouse to the White House, like they say, So
you ain't know what was on the bill. You just went down there.
Didn't know Nathan.
It's a black man on here.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? I thought he was just going to do a whole bunch of, cutting them checks and all that kind of thing. I didn't know what was, I just hoped I didn't know what was happening, but, that didn't happen too.
Well, bro, it's funny. It's funny to me how when I tell people that I don't vote and I never have, they get offended.
Yeah.
And they start to say stuff like, you know what I'm saying? It's people like you. It's the reason nothing changes. And
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Because you don't vote, but you always sit up and complain about the problems in the world. First of all, I don't complain about it. I sit up and watch it, and I know it's going to happen. I've already been informed by a higher being what's going to happen. Y'all just don't want to listen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But he already told us what's going to happen. They're not going to win. So it's no need to get involved with what they're doing because it's not going to solve anything.
Right.
But like I say, for those of y'all that might have had somebody say the same thing to you, that you're the reason that nothing gets better, or you're the reason. Look, when people tell you that, when they say you're the reason because you don't vote, you tell them, no, I'm not. Me voting is not the reason for all the hardships and tribulations. Me voting ain't the reason that there's wars in almost every nation.
Damn near.
Me voting didn't cause hunger. It ain't the reason racism exists. It ain't the reason crime or death or sickness exists. None of these problems exist because I didn't vote. So you're not about to put a guilt trip on me. I'll look at you like you're crazy and keep on walking.
Right.
It ain't about to happen. So before you start judging me, just so everybody clear, my reason for voting is clearly solely based on my spiritual beliefs. And that's, based on what God said, and what he says is very plain and simple, that if you are claiming to be a true follower of him, then you should have no parts in, you should be neutral in all political affairs. Meaning they should remain neutral in all political affairs, not getting involved with joining the military or joining these little social or radical movements. These groups is trying to overthrow the government and like none of that stuff, because like we just said, it's all in vain. They're not going. They might get them to change a law here, a law there, but the main problem will not be solved.
And what about the one, let me ask you this, Phase 2, what about for the ones that say, well, who gonna protect the country and who gonna do this if nobody fights and all that? And what you say for that?
Bro, it's good you asked that, and we're gonna get into that. Yes.
Oh, that's in the cut later on.
Yeah, but yes, please, when you hear me touch on that, please remind me to answer that question. And I want to know what you feel about that too. Right. Because it's real. You know what I'm saying?
But back to the vote, where you was at, where you was at with the standpoint. I mean, voting, even I'm definitely against the situation, because I don't want to never put my trust in anything or any kind of man or no society like that already is batting against me or stacking the deck, as they call it. Now, certain laws have been a miracle that they gotten passed, and those are laws we shouldn't have had to fight for, to using the bathroom with everybody, you know what I'm saying, which is just something we just really got to do like 60 or 65 years ago, really. We just act like, we was a different animal or something, but that's cool. Stuff like going to school together, we had to vote for those kinds of things, and, just to get proper education, proper shots at jobs, or, proper housing districts and all that kind of thing, even down to getting clean water in areas with that, or, live in gated communities, or have to vote to get into a golf club. So we had to vote for a bunch of silly things, though. I could see if we had to vote for, who's going to be the mayor or something like that. We had to vote for a lot of things that had nothing to do with voting. So it does discourage you, what I'm saying, and make it look like, man, cut it out, man. I know it was 100 of us that came over there and voted, and it was 18 of y'all, and y'all won. Get out of here, man. You know what I'm saying? We drove all the way down here, burnt up all this gas.
Real talk. Bro, for people that haven't watched this show, just want everybody to understand, like, the topics we talk about. We go deep on here. We go real deep. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you earlier. So pay attention. And everything we talk about, you can research. You can go research. You can look it up. You can Google.
Yeah, do your studies on your own. Yes,
most definitely. And on this topic that we're talking about right now, I know it's gonna be difficult for a lot of people to comprehend, because as we can clearly see today, it's a lot of people that claim to be, that say they're following God or true followers. Yes, I just want to read to y'all what a Canadian archbishop said. He said, involvement in politics can help the poor. He said, then he went on to say, he said, even if the political system does not seem to be according to God's will, we need to get involved so that we can bring justice to the poor. Catholic News. So he is going directly against God said, but he's the archbishop. And you have to ask yourself, has this been the case? These so-called religious leaders have not been able to bring, don't anybody even trust them?
It should be no religious leader or no man at no time that justifies the ends to those means by saying go against what God said. You X'd out right there. The whole speech, you may as well told people stop listening right there. That anybody got any sense.
Yeah.
But that's how much, when you put influence in your influence or you some influence, and you put all your trust in man like that, people look up to these popes and archbishops and all those kinds of dudes and stuff like that, to be as the translator for God when they got the opportunity to have their own relationship. And we'll get into that later too.
Yeah. And the answer is no, not even close. You know what I'm saying? They have not even come close to bringing peace to anybody.
No.
It's all been a bunch of.
I ain't seen it.
It's all been a propaganda, man. But I want to read I want to read a article real quick. You know what I'm saying? So I need y'all to pay attention to this, in case y'all didn't know this. How politics in Christ's name began. It says in the early church, historian Henry Chadwick says that the early Christian congregation was known for its indifference to the possession of power in this world. It was a non-political, quietist, and pacifist community. A history of Christianity says there was a conviction widely held among Christians that none of their number should hold office under the state. As late as the beginning of the 3rd century, Hippolytus said that the historic Christian custom required a civic magistrate to resign his office as a condition of joining the church. Gradually, though, men coveting power began taking the lead in many congregations, giving themselves high-sounding titles. Some wanted to be both religious leaders and politicians. Mm-hmm. A sudden change in Rome's government gave such churchmen the opportunity they wanted. So listen, it's going down. In the year 312 CE, the pagan Roman Emperor Constantine turned a friendly eye toward nominal Christianity. Astonishingly, the church bishops were content to compromise with the pagan emperor in exchange for privileges he conferred on them. The church became more and more implicated in high political decisions, wrote Chinwe Chadwick. Now let's stop there for a second and break it down what we just read so far. It's crazy.
That's way out, G. It sounds. Go ahead. I know you go do your thing, but hey, man, the way the structure of that sounds like the same way you set up anything else. You setting up something with people that you know that you can purchase. You putting people in a region where you know you can control them by either losing their position or whatever it is. So they easier more to susceptible to breaking the law because they're so concerned about their title and more than the people. You know what I'm saying? That's why, last thing I say on this, you'll never see one of the congressmen or none of those people living in that district that they represent. It's rare.
Bro, that's real talk. And the first part of the article is basically saying that there was a point in time when Christians had no involvement in politics, in political affairs whatsoever. It even said that Christians in political affairs, it even said that Christians' customs required that anybody that was involved with politics remove themselves before they could join the church. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel that way. I'm a Christian, and I feel the way of I never depended on nothing else but God. And through his son Christ, that's all I ever did. That's just me. I could call me country or whatever it is, or naive or however it to be, but that's all I really seriously ever depended on.
It also tells us what changed that, and like almost always, it was the hunger for possession of power.
Yep.
And so they started giving themselves these high-sounding names, these high-sounding titles like Holy Father, Archbishop, the very most Reverend, his excellency, his beauty, his beautitude,
all of that,
his holiness, patriarch, cardinal, his eminence, and with the one we all know today, the Pope.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those guys should have known, because they have the same kind of text and Bible to be able to read that when Jesus was crucified and he was risen, he tore the veil. So you know what I'm saying? That represented that you didn't have to go to another man to atone for your sins. It was done once and for all. You didn't have to do no more cows and no bulls and that kind of sacrifice, things like that. So for those men to still have people coming to them and they know this thing, that's dead wrong. It's written down in there somewhere. You got to see it, unless they're reading another text.
That's true, man. That's true. We're gonna read the rest of this article real quick, because it goes on to say how politics affected preachers when they got involved with it. So this is what it says. It says the idea that God would use churchmen as politicians was promoted especially by Augustine, an influential 5th century Catholic theologian. He envisioned the church ruling over the nations and bringing peace to mankind. But historian H.G. Wells wrote, the history of Europe from the 5th century onward to the 15th is very largely the history of the failure of this great idea of a divine world government to realize itself in practice. Christendom did not bring peace even to Europe, much less the world. What had been thought of as being Christianity lost its standing in the eyes of many. And then it says what went wrong. It says, many who claimed to preach Christianity were drawn into politics with good intentions, but then they found themselves participating in evil. Martin Luther, a preacher and a translator of the Bible, is famous for his efforts to reform the Catholic Church. However, his bold stand against church doctrines made him popular with those who had political motives of rebellion. Luther lost the respect of many who he began to speak out on when he began to speak out on political issues. Initially, he favored the peasants who were rebelling against oppressive nobles. Then, when the rebellion turned savage, he encouraged the nobles to crush the rebellion, which they did, butchering thousands. Not surprisingly, the peasants considered him a traitor. Luther also encouraged the nobles in their own rebellion against the Catholic emperor. In fact, Protestants, as Luther's followers came to be known, formed a political movement from the beginning. How did power affect Luther? It corrupted him. For example, although he at first opposed coercing religious descendants, he later encouraged his political friends to execute by burning those who opposed infant baptism. So anywhere, and that's almost anything that you have, man, and power, and the ability to lose your morals. Saying that's the only thing and you got to be connected to God for that. A man just can't walk around here and have no morals, because mammon. That thing got a power of its own. People take it lightly, you know, when people say for the love of money and all that kind of thing like that. It has its own spiritual power, man. You got your own things that pull at a man. You know what I'm saying? So those are one of the things that you know can, and it always corrupted, dude. When you get power, somebody can be bought. And they sometimes use it as a moral decision or what it comes up to your children. If you run in a country and your children do something wrong, you know what I'm saying, and you got the ability to get them out of it, you know what I mean, in a crooked way, or whatever the way is done like that, that's usually what power does. That's what people do, make a decision like that. But what that does is corrupt the whole thing. Just like if a good cop will go into, you know, there'll be a cop with bright-eyed, bushy-tail want to go up into the academy. You know what I'm saying? He might want to do good. But just like you said, the whole system set up like that, too. Once he gets in, they're like, hey, we ain't doing that. We ain't really solving no crime. Hey, man, if you don't put this dope on him and put this gun on him. Too tough. And you know, the whole cop, man, I went in with good intentions. So I do believe some of these laws went in like that, because a lot of things were structured for good intentions. But once power came and you start being able to, hey, we can do this. That's when the infrastructure just went. It was never even for us anyway. Never. But it just got worse for us as things went by like that. Bad to worse. Still getting that way. So yeah. So the this article ends this way, and I want to make sure I read the ending because it makes so much sense. It says, Perhaps these men forgot what the Bible says at 1 John 5:19. The whole world is lying in the power of the wicked one. Did they have a sincere desire to clean up the politics of their day, or was it the prospect of power and of having friends in high places that attracted them? In any case, they should have remembered the inspiring words of Jesus' disciple James. Do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with God?
Yeah.
Whoever therefore wants to be a friend of the world is constituting himself an enemy of God. That's just what it says, bottom line. Now, the scriptures clearly state this, but yet and still people claim to be Christians and still get involved with politics and claiming that the only way they can help or show love to others to literally and physically get involved. So that's why people are so passionate and try to get you so pulled in, you know what I'm saying, to come vote and, you know what I'm saying, like do this. But like the article brings out, a lot of those people did it for the power and privileges that they receive. And yes, it was some people that did it with the good intentions, but like the top of the article say, they found themselves participating in what? Evil.
Yeah.
Because there's no way around it in politics, bro. It's not.
Yo.
Remember this. There's no way around it in politics. Music business, like any business where it's lots of money. To slay the beast, you have to become the beast.
Okay.
You can't kill the beast if you ain't a monster.
And if you hang around it too long,
Real
you're going to adapt those ways. You know what I'm saying? That's real. You can't be around it without even adapting those ways. And those ways, it ain't got nothing to do with God's ways. Everything that the whole situation of it has nothing to do with.
Let's take the Pope. Let's take the Pope for a minute. Now, the Catholic Church views the Pope as infallible, meaning they're basically saying that even though the Pope is human, he is incapable of failure or error.
That's what that dang infallible means?
Yes, indeed. But we know that's impossible because no human being on this earth is perfect, and we all know this.
Nah.
The Pope throughout human history has been known to endorse wars between nations. And his constituents have even went on to bless both sides of opposing nation that was going to fight each other, basically giving Christians permission to go kill other Christians.
Man, he could stop there with thinking. Look, let me tell you something. If I was one of them popes and stuff like that, if they showed me that book and I read that, I say, hey, man, y'all got to take this stuff off me. You know what I'm saying? God, I got an answer for a whole nother thing. I can't even pretend to be. You know what I'm saying? And that's where it go wrong. And without people looking in this, in studying for themselves, they're listening to men like this and putting their whole hope and faith into a man like that. That said whatever that word is, that's crazy.
Yeah, really. It's and for people to believe it is even more insane to me.
Yeah,
but
man.
A while ago, the Pope John Paul II visited the United Nations. He spent like 7 days in the United States. He visited certain cities like New York, Washington,
Right.
like a few states, and he was there to address the General Assembly. And in his speech, he was asking for a new. Now listen to this. He was asking for a new beginning and a fresh start with a new vision and revival of hope. And this is some of what he said in his speech about that. This is what he said. He said, "I hope that the United Nations will ever remain the supreme forum of peace and justice, the authentic seat of freedom of peoples and individuals in their longing for a better future." Now, check this out before you say anything. His speech was a little over 60 minutes long, and not once did he mention Jesus Christ, God, or God's kingdom as being the ones that's going to do all of what he said.
Yeah.
He said and that's funny because here's a man that claims to be the vicar of Christ. He claims to be the vicar of Christ, and in the Bible it identifies Jesus as being God's means of bringing peace to the earth. It never mentioned nothing about the United Nations being our savior.
I only seen Christ as that kind of title, and even to be involved and to be pumping and pushing the United Nations, which is a man. That's a, you know what? But What I can say about that, that's that's spiritual wickedness in high places right there. That's what that's being formed by. That's why it's being pushed so tough. You know what I'm saying? That's why a man of that kind of so-called caliber of being what he is, you know, to be pushing something that's going to be only on this earth, only going to outlast only on the time of this earth, and has nothing to do with righteousness.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to pay close attention to United Nations and their activities. If you have not,
one world government.
If you have not, they're involved and they're behind a lot of what's going on in this world. Everything that has to be orchestrated and organized on a worldwide, global scale. That's what the United Nations is there for. Pay attention.
Yeah.
So, instead of him putting trust in God and telling people that, you know, where our true salvation lies, he basically chose to look at the political leaders and to solve all the problems in the world, but he's supposed to be representing God.
Yeah.
Fraud. And what the Pope should have done, he should have followed Jesus' example and never got involved in politics in the first place.
Right.
Remember back in Jesus' time when the people tried to make him king and he ran away?
He wasn't trying to be king.
He was making a statement right there that his kingdom is no part of this world. He even went as far as to say, bro, that if my kingdom was part of this world, when your people came to give me, my servants would have fought on my behalf.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd have probably whooped him.
Ain't no problem right there.
They'd have whooped him. They'd have whooped him.
Now, look, at the same time, too, before you read this, Jack, we not saying don't need to be no rule, don't need to be no civilization, don't need to be no structure. Now, I'll tell you like this. There was a king named Solomon one time, real quick, and it's a short story, you know what I'm saying? But dude was like, you know what? God asked him what he wanted in a vision, you know what I'm saying, in a dream. He say, hey, I want wisdom to take care of your people. You know what I'm saying? So he said, you know what, since you want that, man, it didn't ask so much for this and that, I'm going to give you riches also too. You know what I'm saying? Because usually what's on a man's mind, give me this and that. But he said, let me get wisdom to take care of your people. So, okay, next day or whatever week come by, he had to use it. Two ladies, they have a baby. One lady, baby is a stillborn. Other babies wakes up and lives. So she switched her baby with the other baby, you know what I'm saying? Give her the dead one. They go report it to the king, whoop-de-whoop, this and that. Since he prayed to the Lord for wisdom, he say, king, you know, this and that. So one lady, he say, well, you know what? Bring the child to me. You know what I'm saying? Then you say, whose baby is it? Both of them say, mine. So he's like, how am I supposed to tell? And then so, you know what? Hey, guard, bring me a sword. You know what I'm saying? I'm finna cut the baby in half and both of them can have a piece. You know what I'm saying? So one lady just say, no, let her have it. You know what I mean? The other lady just, you know, she pretty much wasn't tripping. And so the king said, cool, give it to the lady that said, let her have it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the mother right there, because she didn't want the child to die. Yeah. So to make a wise decision, and I can see that doing something like making a wise decision when you dealing with people and civilizations and stuff, don't take the whole thing over, man. Make wise decisions. It's enough for everybody.
Yeah, and again, so you know, and again, my sole reason for not voting or getting involved in politics is because basically what God and Jesus says. Now, you know, it's a lot of things God says that we don't do that we do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, but it's all up. We're not saying we're not being hypocrites. Like, like when we're I'm talking about this, like informing y'all and refreshing in myself as well.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because these are things I need to be taking heed and remembering and concentrating on and always looking at as well. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, bro, it's serious out here. You know what I'm saying?
So, for the record, we done did pretty much everything out there too.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, and still currently guilty of things. So this ain't no high horse where we, you know what I'm saying?
But we sin, we working on.
We just sinning, you know, trying to sin less.
We working on things. You know what I'm saying? Like some things are easier to, some things that you're not supposed to be doing are easier to stay away from than some. You know what I'm saying? Some are harder to resist than others.
Yep.
Temptation, you know, the devil know what he's doing. But like I said, again, my sole reason for not voting or getting involved in politics is what God says. And it wasn't because I was an ex-felon and I couldn't vote, or because I'm trying to maintain my portrayal of a gangster or a thug like some people. You know what I'm saying? It's way deeper than that, man. And it's, you know, these are very critical times that we're now living in, and we see all kinds of injustices taking place on a daily basis. We see it all the time on the news. We just saw the dude Aubrey. His whole name can't come to mind. The black man that was killed, and his people are on trial now, and the jury
escapes me, man.
They just picked this jury and picked one black person for the jury.
I mean, that's always.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like all kinds of injustice taking place on a daily basis. You see politicians running ads and commercials, trying to encourage people and trying to get celebrities to endorse their campaigns, trying to convince them how important it is to vote so they can come and spread the message to us and convince us and do all that, you know what I'm saying? But voting, I'm going to just keep it 100. I'm going to keep it 100. Voting for this person or that person is not going to solve the problems we see and face in this world today. Even if some changes are made, these problems will still not be solved by any human being on this earth.
Yeah,
we talk about this all the time, but it's not going to happen. People like Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King, just to name a few heroes, they took a stand against racism by protesting, marching, and boycotting certain businesses and products, which eventually led to blacks being able to sit where they wanted to on the bus, or where they wanted to eat, or where they wanted to, or use the same facilities as white people. But yet and still, at the end of the day, they did all that. It was good what they did. It was good. It was heroic. It was it was good. But at the end of the day, the problem of racism still exists today.
Yeah.
Just because changes are made doesn't mean the problem is solved. The Ku Klux Klan made changes. They changed their white sheets, but a lot of them went and put on blue uniforms, and they made changes, and they sprinkled black police officers within, and they, you know what I'm saying? But they made changes to their organization, but the killing of unarmed black men still exists today. Changes were made, but the problem has not been solved. It has not been solved, bro.
And sometimes we want change so much that we pacify with, and don't get me wrong, I'm happy with anything that changes for black folks. Now I'm black, I gotta walk down the street, I gotta ride in the car, and all of that, you know what I mean? So anything is cool, but we can't get so hyped up off inches and inches. And at the same time, when we looking for it here, it's more frustrating. See, it gives you an inner peace to know that, this ain't the only place that we gonna be. You know what I mean? So, you know what I'm saying? Or the situation will never always be like this. You know what I'm saying? Because it's going to be a new earth. So what I mean is, like, it won't always be the same structure. So if you always believe it's going to be like this, you're going to act accordingly. You're going to act like I'm never going to get nothing. Nothing's never going to change. So we finna act like this. And I understand that mentality if you don't have no hope.
We're not saying that it's never going to change. We're not saying that. We're saying, why get involved with the wrong way
of making,
that's going to bring about that change. And God is the only one that can bring about the change we need. All the civil rights, again, the civil rights movement fought for segregated schools. So schools wouldn't be segregated, I think, right?
So they could be, they could be segregated.
Right. So they could be segregated. So black kids could attend the same schools and receive the same education that white kids receive, correct?
Yep.
Changes were made to have these black kids go to this school. These schools with white kids.
Proper books.
But are black students really getting the same educational opportunities as white students today?
No.
No, they're not. Again, changes were made. Problem has not been solved. See, because all human governments can do is put a Band-Aid on a wound. That's all they've ever done. They don't possess what it takes to perform the necessary surgery that is needed to heal these wounds. All they do is address the symptoms of a problem. They never attack the problem. So check it out. That's what I'm saying. They attack the symptoms of racism by making hate laws. or the affirmative action laws, or one of my favorites to hate, giving black people Black History Month, or the one recently, Juneteenth.
Yeah.
They think by giving us these days, this is supposed to satisfy or make up for all the injustice that has incurred.
Yeah.
But God, on the other hand, is telling us that he is going to attack the problem from the root. See, he's so bold with it because he know he the only one can do it.
Yeah.
All the racism, all the hatred of any kind, he's the only one they can get rid of it. They may claim they can do it when they trying to get you to elect them, and they running their little campaign, but they will always be false to their claims.
Yeah.
And that's been the case over and over again.
Yeah, and it ain't gonna stop because that's the whole structure. That's what they think here on earth, that the structure to rule over somebody, you got to rule over them, and you got to pick the stuff for them. You got to make their decisions. That's why they're trying to more and more buckle down on decisions that they're going to make for you, because they feel that they're making the right ones. But doing it when a man or a woman do something, when they possessed by the Lord, when they got the Lord's Spirit in them like that, and they doing it like that, they gonna make a right decision. They gonna come to a point where they say, "Hey man, we want the people to eat too. We eating? No, they don't just need no cake. Let the people. If we eating steak and chicken up in the castle, up in the thing, these people need opportunity to make that too. They need to work. If we all work for the same land, they in whatever it is. Let's do it all together like that. Let everybody. Nobody should be able to just be on the window looking in. You don't want to set a society like that,
right.
But they purposely do that because. Hell, you talking about putting the wound on the band-aid on the wound. I mean, they the one that made the wound. You know what I'm saying? So they don't even want it to heal. This is
exactly.
It's structurally made like this.
Structurally. And with that being said, aren't we tired of the same old cycle just spinning? I hope you all do understand that we're never going to get out of this cycle or this matrix unless we understand that we have to fully rely on God to get there. That's our only way out. I'm sorry. Sorry. There is no other way, y'all. I'm sorry.
No.
It ain't. Getting involved with these little social movements or joining these radical terrorist groups who aim is to rebel against the government, that's not going to solve nothing. It never has. And some of these groups have even claimed that they committing these acts, blowing up people and killing people, hijacking, like in the name of God.
Yeah, man.
Like, but if you truly know who God is, then that's far from the truth. You know that's far from the truth. There is nothing but the devil. That's nothing but the devil trying to get God a bad rap. And that's his entire campaign, to make God seem as if he don't exist or that he don't care about all the suffering in the world.
And look, now what you said right there, the don't care too part, you know what I'm saying? During the time where we live on earth and he came back in such a long time, and ain't no, you know what I'm saying, nobody here that's seen him or nothing like that. And saying, oh, he ain't coming. The stretch of time in the middle is what you're talking about. When you waiting right there, and that's where the enemy loves to play on that playground to make it seem like God stopped caring about his people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we really got to say that slow to ourselves sometime. You know, if you got a relationship with him, even say it slow to yourself. Imagine him really concerned about you, or you thinking to him or whatever it is, or praying to him, and he acting like I'm too busy or I don't hear it. And when he the one who came up with the whole thing to even put us here. You know what I'm saying? So imagine your father's telling you crying, a little kid crying, and you hear your kid. You ain't finna go get your kid no matter what you doing. You hear him from the shower or from wherever it is. You breaking your neck to go. And that's God's truth. God's triple the times like that on us. You know what I'm saying? So don't let that get you twisted on that. He cared. Yeah. Look, it look like it's, man. It always look like it ain't popping sometime, and it's supposed to, because we down here on earth. This what all about faith is about. Because it's supposed to be like, look here, man. I don't care about just what you can give me. You know what I'm saying? Let me see what's about you. But back to the voting situation. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Bro, that's, hey, preach on it, man. You know what I'm saying? Bro, people, the bottom line is this. You know what I'm saying? The bottom line, like we tell people in our podcast, we don't get paid for this podcast, man.
Nah.
Honestly, we've been so anxious to get back to something that's not even like paying us no money.
Yep.
Like we've been so anxious to get back to this because we understand like what treasures this has. It has nothing to do with money.
Nothing
to do with money. This knowledge is everything because it's life-saving if you let it lead you to the right places. You know what I'm saying? And the bottom line is this, y'all. Until God says that enough is enough and he puts an end to all of this that's going on in this world, meaning everything that he doesn't approve of in this world, it's going to go from bad to worse. You are witnessing it with your own eyes right now. Yeah. It is going from bad to worse. We're witnessing it firsthand. And whether you vote or not, all the problems, violence and chaos is going to be there. Whether you vote or not, people are going to have hate and have evil in their hearts, whether you vote or not. Oh, yeah. Because you cannot vote evil and bad intentions out of somebody's heart.
I mean, look
you can't do that.
Look what they done voted already before, man. They done already voted against God a long time ago, where they said you can't whip your children no more, and clearly says you spare the rod, you spoil the child. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we living with right now. So if anybody lives with anybody that's 16 to 19, peek downstairs and see what you got downstairs. You know what I'm saying? What kind of person? This is what happens when those laws change. That's why it goes down like this, where the parental disrespect is at an all-time high, but that's been voted in.
I want to go back to what I said. You can't vote evil or bad intentions out of somebody's heart. You know, because if you think about it, this is one of the reasons it will never stop. Because we have these people here that will constantly lust for money and power. Yeah. And when you do that, there's no way for you to remain innocent at all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But God, he can read people's heart. And he's going to get rid of the people that he feels like, okay, you're a problem. You're not going to pay attention and do what I asked you to do anyway. You haven't the whole time you've been here. You got to go.
Real talk.
As simple as it is. You know what I'm saying? And this is what he's telling us. If we are trying to make it out of this world to this new world, we got to cut this one off. So when people ask me if I support certain groups like these groups like Black Lives Matter or any other social radical movement, I tell them, nah, man, I support God and God only. Because he the only one, because God knows, because God already know that Black Lives Matter, just like he know that all lives matters. You got to be an idiot to think different. And yes, there are some idiots out there that think different, sadly, but that don't mean that I got to go out there in the streets and protest and combat something that I already know is true. That Black Lives Matter and all lives matter, because God already told me that. So let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on. That y'all can be out there if you want to, but the argument is in vain. Because who you proving it to? These people run this, man. They've had 6,000 years to master oppression. Mm-hmm. Y'all come make changes. They're going to make changes as well, just like they did. Just like they made the changes, and they made it harder for people to vote when they saw that people had the upper hand. What they do? Yeah. They made changes too. Yeah. They gonna keep making changes too. Just like when they saw back in the day that black people was getting guns and arming themselves like the Black Panthers, what they do? They wouldn't change the gun laws. They gonna always change them because they can do that. So you can keep voting and do it, but it's just gonna keep changing.
And one thing, just to piggyback on what you're saying, one thing that even down to the slave peoples or to, you know what I'm saying, our peoples that was in the cotton fields and all that was slaves, even though they was in a worse position that we right now ain't never been in a position. The ones here from 1990, whatever it is, and on up, 19, you know what I'm saying, real 90s, all that kind of stuff. We ain't never went through nothing they went through. They went through the most harsh treatment for black people that was ever on the face of this earth right there. The first American Negroes right here as slaves, you know what I'm saying? But what they did do throughout that harsh treatment, they complained and hated it. But what them people did was depended on God. You know what I'm saying? When they hummed and sang to him like that, some of them things about how we gonna sneak off here tonight and do our thing, but even because they didn't have no right to vote, they wouldn't even considered a citizen. So exactly. What they gonna do? They went to, and that was almost the best thing. So those people didn't even get dependent on the system. Those people from the beginning, them asked them old ladies with that apron on, they talking about they on their knees. That was a fighting position for them. And we look at it as like, get off your knees, and stand. I'd rather die standing up than on my knees. Nah, nigga.
Yeah.
Excuse my language. Nah, we look here. Don't make that look like that's a weak position. So I'm saying those people, they dealt with it. Let's deal with some of these things too and look at it in a different perspective.
This is why this is why it's so important for everybody that's alive on this planet right now today to get to know the deep things of God. Because once you start to understand God's thought process, then you start to think much deeper than the average human. That's because God trains us to think like Him. Not that we can literally think like Him or be like Him, but this is why He left us the scriptures with examples of how He dealt with certain things in the past, what He approved of and what He didn't approve of. You know what I'm saying? So when we face with these same situations as we are today, because they were humans and we are humans.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It you know what I'm saying? It would allow us to be able to think like Him and like, okay, what would God think about this situation? What do He, because
whole nother thought,
because we're not even supposed to move without consulting with Him anyway.
Real talk.
He's supposed to be our manager in everything that's our manager.
Yeah.
We supposed to consult like in everything we do. We supposed to consult with Him. You know what I'm saying? So it's
every bad decision I made is when I didn't.
And I know, look, I'm gonna keep it 100. I know a lot of y'all probably feel like it's only right to pursue justice and that it's only right. It's it's the right thing to do because injustice has been going on since we was all born. And yes, it's mentally and physically and spiritually frustrating when the authorities that were put in place to supposedly protect us abuse their power and oppress and even kill us.
Yep.
And I understand that everybody's just fed up, exhausted already, you know what I'm saying? And all of this has been going on since man has been ruling man, bro. Politics, way back then. So politics is nothing new, and basically it's been the same system.
You got an evil spirit that's going to be able to get into and corrupt a man, and one man going to do one thing, another man going to do another thing. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it goes. As long as somebody can be bought or purchased. That's why in these positions, and people take it lightly, even the people that's teachers, people that's in Congress, or people whatever they is, especially teachers, they with your kids more than anybody is all day long. You know what I'm saying? They just let anybody up in there. Some of these positions need to be for people that they got some sense about themselves, man. These are people who have just inherited generational, last names, or, knowing this one or that one, or went to this school, the ones we can't go to, the Ivy schools with all the, the boats and stuff they be rowing, all that.
Yo, I want to ask everybody this. I want y'all to think about this too. Think about this. Why should we continue to put our trust in politicians and governments? I'm not saying rebel against them. I'm not saying go against them. I'm saying, why should we put our trust in politicians and governments when their records of being truthful and honest with the people is not a good record by far? And I'll even admit, yes, some of these social movements may really want to make a difference, and but we have to realize, bro, we got to realize that the reforms that's needed the most in this world, they don't come that easy, bro. It's so much, like we just said, there's so much hate and evil in human society, and just flat out selfishness and disregard for the next man's life. Even if change is made, the problem won't be solved. It's impossible. And some people may say, well, with God anything is possible, but these governments are not trusting in God. So they're not relying on God. So in this case, this is what God is telling you. God's telling you this in the Bible. He's saying, do not put your trust in princes, nor in the Son of Man, who cannot bring salvation. Listen to what he's telling us. Psalms 1, he says, I'm going to say it again. Do not put your trust in princes, nor in Son of Man, who cannot bring salvation. About voting, this is what a man named Lord Halifax wrote. This is what he said, and I like this because this is so true.
What'd you say, Lord Halifax?
Lord Halifax. He said, sound like a character in Star Wars, but he said,
yeah.
But he say, when the people contend for their liberty, they seldom get anything by their victory but new masters. So all you're really doing is is voting for yourselves a new master or a new oppressor with new laws. In these last few elections, I've heard some people, bro, what's so crazy is, okay, before we end this, what's so crazy is in these last few elections, I've heard people say, well, I don't like either of the candidates that's on the ballot,
right,
but I'm going to vote because I feel like it's my duty as an American. And I'd be like, huh? I'm like, so basically you saying you just going to pick your poison, but I'm like, if it's no good options on the table, bro, why are you still voting? If I was looking to buy a house, but at the time I was looking, they only had two options that I didn't like. And I thought I don't like them, but most likely I'm not going to invest in either of them. Smart thing to do would be to wait till a better option comes along.
Yeah.
Because this is where you plan to live maybe for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? Raise kids, you know, like do what you're going to do. Buying a house is an important investment.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure you're getting like your money worth, so you wait for a better option to come along.
Yeah.
Well, why not do the same with your very own life?
Yeah.
What's crazy is in this case, there is a better option. As a matter of fact, the better option been here all along. It's always been available.
Yeah.
And that better option is God.
Yeah.
But it seems as if nobody wanted to wait for that option.
That's the one that's covered up. Like, man, not that way.
But again, it's the best option we have. There is nothing else better than what he's offering. Even the president, Lyndon B. Johnson. This is what he said. He said the arithmetic of modern politics makes it tempting to overlook the very poor because they are an articulate minority. That's basically telling you that the way the government and politics is set up,
yeah,
you for sure to be overlooked every time. Every
day.
single time. Lyndon B. Johnson said it himself.
Yeah.
President.
It's uneven. It's built that way. It's going to stay that way. See, a lot of people think that the system is broke. No, it ain't broke. They fixed it the way that they want it. So all this participating, they have a system of voting and everything like that. They taking certain things, whatever it is they want to implement, they're going to do it. One thing that is going on also too, the clock is spinning. It's already things that's going to take place that have to take place. When you read, prophecy. That's why you say, my people perish for lack of knowledge. All you have to do is read his word too. It ain't got no pictures in it, so sometimes it do look like, okay, I got to read everything, and that's cool. I used to be one of them type of people, but you know, they got an audio thing. You can listen to that too. But looking at that lets you know that you're not looking for peace here. You're not looking to really vote and do all these kind of crazy things like that because you're dependent on something else. There's going to be a time where some people are going to vote a man in office. They're going to vote all power to this man. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be powered by a whole nother power that you never seen, nothing like that on the face of this earth. You know what I mean? It's going to be a voting system that's going to put him in office and everything. He's going to give peace because people are going to be looking for that here. If you read, you know you're not going to find peace down here. Perfect peace is with Christ, through Christ to his Father God. Yeah.
I know we've been going for a long time on this topic, so I'm gonna close with this on this topic. We're gonna close with this on this topic. I'm a, you know what I'm saying, like just to end it. You know what I'm saying, and I'm gonna just be blunt. Y'all, you know what I'm saying. Y'all can go out to the polls and you can vote if you like. To each his own. You have that right. You know what I'm saying. But if I was a betting man, I'd be willing to bet my life, no matter who you vote for, even if they win, the changes will be made. But the problem will not be solved. This is not the first presidential election where people have said they don't like either candidate that's on the bill. Not the first, and it definitely won't be the last. And, you know, man has had over 6,000 years to get this right, but they failed every single time. This is nothing new. All of the chaos the world did, this just didn't start happening in 2020. But it really killed me when I would hear people say 2020 has been the worst year ever. I can't wait till it's over. Like, and, you know, they were saying it like on January 1st, 2021, that all these problems in the world were just going to disappear.
Yeah, like you put another quarter in or something.
Yeah, like, but as we all know, that didn't happen. 2021 came in. This is disrespectful as 2020 was.
Woke up drunk and with 2021 here.
like true, 2020 was a difficult year on a global scale for everybody, but police brutality and police killings of unarmed black men didn't just start in 2020. Viruses and diseases didn't just start in 2020. Yeah, COVID is the worst pandemic some of us have ever witnessed in our lifetime. But remember, there's another pandemic called Spanish flu. And remember, there's another pandemic called AIDS that also killed a lot of people. And there's another pandemic that's been around forever that's known as food shortage, where 9 million people a year die from hunger. That's a pandemic, a problem that's never been solved. Oh, listen, this is a problem that has never been solved. Even after a lot of changes were put in place to combat hunger, it still remains a problem that has not been solved. Yeah. And what's so crazy is it's solvable. Because the fact is that it's enough food on this earth to feed all the people on this earth hundreds of thousands of times over. And that's an understatement. That's an underestimation, I mean. But man's greed and selfish and pride, it won't allow it to happen. They use it as leverage to further their agendas of power. And that's what it is.
Agendas is the best word. You know what I'm saying? It strike me to something. To those Agenda 21s and 22s, a lot of these things are going along with their same system, man. Depopulation. A lot of things we look at as diseases, we look at as food shortages, we look at whatever it is. These same people who we're supposedly voting to and doing these law things, they have another plan. Those are the things that they doing. And I'm not conspiracying y'all out. It's just something that really does go on. These people are sitting up meeting about this, about getting you out of here. You know what I'm saying? Having more food for them, more air for them. They own that. You know what I'm saying? More life for them. You know what I mean? More trees for them. More land. That's why you don't hear sustainable. Everything sounds sustainable now. Looking for that word more.
Yeah. Men and these governmental sovereignties, you know, they've been exposed in these last days, and they've been exposed as frauds.
Yeah.
They are the frauds that God told us they were.
Yep.
All these world leaders around us now are saying, you know, about the pandemic and all this stuff, bro. Like, we don't know what to trust now. Like, we've been lied to so long. We're now in a place to where we don't know what to trust, and the world is at odds because the government has like we said, the government has a reputation of being who they are, and they ain't told the truth. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we got to be careful. You know what I'm saying? And what's going on today? You know, they forcing everybody to get vaccinated. You know, which is, we can see right now the times are changing, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't think that they can't do it, or that's my right, or no, I have rights, because in the future, as we go along, you will see that those rights you thought you had, that Constitution and all that, you will see it's nothing but ink to paper. Yeah. You're going to see that, you know what I'm saying, very soon.
And this was actually a simulation for the times to come.
Yeah. And, you know, once again, we back. Like we told y'all, we back. We appreciate the time, and thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Truth Talks, man. I'm your host, Krayzie Bone.
Yeah, I'm the co-host, Keith Griffin.
And please remember, the truth is always talking.
You got to shut up and listen sometime.
Truth talk to, let the truth talk, truth talk.
Truth is always talking.
You just gotta listen.